campus of USC Upstate in Spartanburg, South Carolina, as it's a matchup between the Sun Belt Conference and the Big South Conference as the Georgia State Panthers come in to the Hodge Center to take on the Upstate Spartans. Good afternoon, everybody. Brian Rushing here along with John Williams. John, in the opening match, the Upstate Spartans were able to get their offense off and rolling. They had some major contributions from some players that we expect to see in the second matchup to put some phenomenal efforts on the floor.
Yes, MJ Plowman's going to be one of those players that I think will definitely be an impact player for USC Upstate to play against a very young, spry, athletic Georgia State program.
This is a Georgia State program still looking for their first win as a program against the Upstate Spartans. Two previous meetings, the Spartans have won the previous two. For the Panthers today, an opportunity to continue to build on a record that has started out better than the 7-22 campaign from last year.
It should be fun to watch. I'm looking forward to a great competitive matchup against two teams that obviously Georgia State has a two-year coach. He's the second year, but Coach the USC Upstate has a first-year coach.
Allie Scahan was honored with her first win game ball from last weekend at Morehead State, as this should be a fun matchup between the Panthers and the Spartans. Folks, this Big South broadcast is brought to you in part by Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength. Visit HerculesTires.com. Sunbelt Rentals. We have equipment for that. First Citizens Bank, forever first. And Jersey Mike's, a sub above. As the Spartans this morning, they were wearing the green against South Carolina State. They decided to turn it black this afternoon against the Georgia State Panthers. As this is a Georgia State Panthers club that has some familiarity in common opponents, as both of these clubs have now taken on South Carolina State and have both enjoyed 3-0 sweeps of the Bulldogs earlier this season.
In Georgia State, because they are so young, 9 newcomers on this program, they're going to have their ebbs and flows this year. And I think that when they start out hot and they come out hot, they are in good shape and in contention to win most of their games because of their talent. But when their backs are against the wall, and this is how you learn as a young team, they have to be able to respond to that in a positive way as well.
This is a Georgia State club that is picked to finish last, according to the pundits, in the East Division. However, any sort of momentum they look to build in the start of the Sun Belt Conference season is going to be predicated on what happens in this non-conference schedule. As Alasia Edwards will get things started for the Spartans this afternoon. She had a huge third set in this morning's matchup against South Carolina State. So we're underway here in Spartanburg. It's down the middle. There is Addie O'Grady to get things started. The sophomore out of Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, gets the Spartans on the board with their first opportunity to serve today.
Addie O'Grady definitely coming in with some power early, and this is how USC Upstate needs to start this match.
O'Grady, after a great freshman campaign last season, one of the fixtures on this club that people begin to game plan against. Well, it opened up the opportunity for some other great options for the Spartans. And one of those options earlier today was Kayla Spangler. She comes into this day's action with 92 assists, had a very solid floor game against South Carolina State in the opener.
She's turning into a high IQ setter that can really read the defense and make the right calls each time she's getting a touch on the ball.
That ball is going to find its way to the floor as it's Izzy Durnell that gets the kill, and the Panthers will have their first opportunity to serve. As it'll be Amanda Albertini, the senior out of Villa Park, California, a transfer from UC Irvine. Or correction, back to serve is going to actually be Janiyah Jackson, the freshman out of Sacramento, California. A strong California presence for this Georgia State club. As the Spartans have the 3-1 advantage, Addie O'Grady back to serve. As the swing taken by Ashley Nicole. Ashley Nicole had a very solid matchup in her first match this morning against South Carolina State. If she continues this narrative in this match, it's going to create another problem for the Panthers.
Absolutely. They're putting a lot of pressure in that middle, especially in that back line.
And a service ace for the Spartans. That was another piece of the narrative this morning against South Carolina State, especially in set number 2, led by Nicole. This club served the ball incredibly well in the second set, and it really helped put some wind in their sails to move forward and get that win in 3 sets against South Carolina State.
They really made it difficult for South Carolina State to get any type of offensive flow going because of how strong South Carolina Upstate serves were. When you have a tough serve and you have to play it and it takes away from your offensive possession, it puts you in low percentage volleyball.
Albertini now back to serve for Georgia State. The looper is going to be deflected. Georgia State trying to keep it alive, and they won't be able to get it over the net. So it's a point for the Spartans. So they enjoy an early 4-point advantage. Substitution coming in for the Spartans, MJ Klauman. Klauman had a big first set, really helped set the tone up the middle for the Spartans club. It's going back to serve is Kayla Spangler.
She provides a lot of size and length and the ability to block shots, but also the ability to attack.
The swing off the deflection, a kill for Ashley Nicole to make it a 7-2 lead for the Spartans.
Ashley Nicole is showing her bag here where she's been able to play with power, finesse, really throwing this Georgia State defense off balance.
Spangler goes near side. That swing sails a little wide on the attack error from Klauman. Gives the side out back to the Panthers.
It's a good idea by Klauman trying to hit that back corner.
Now serving number 19.
It's going back to serve for Georgia State. It'll be Jackson-Marie Perez, the transfer from another Sun Belt Conference school, Coastal Carolina. The Spartans going repeatedly up the middle. Back row swing to Edwards, and there she goes. John, you talk about the athleticism of one Zalasia Edwards. She showed it off there. It's very difficult to create a back row swing with that sort of authority. She made it look pretty easy.
Very fast, twitchy, one of those players that can really get off the floor quickly and in a hurry.
The deflection off of the attack from Aaliyah Mitchell will fall to the floor. Point for the Panthers. So the lead goes back to 4. They'll get the side out.
The Panthers really didn't have much going in that last possession, but were able to squeak one in there.
Wyatt, one of the offensive leaders last year out of Spring, Texas. So the points going to go to the Panthers. Wyatt last year had 225 kills on the season to go with 24 aces. Both were second on the team last season.
Coach Hutchinson has been working to really get himself a very good young team that is continually growing as the seasons progress. And so you're only going to see nothing but good, positive volleyball moving forward for this program.
Jackson-Marie Perez with a great adjustment on that second ball as she was able to find Kayla Broom. Broom gets the kill, and now all of a sudden it's a 2-point differential, 8-6 in favor of the Spartans. And that right there is the difference between long-term momentum and runs that get stifled. If you're able to keep that serve on the floor, you've got an opportunity to have extended runs. Those errors right there could prove very costly to clubs that are trying to seek an advantage. And the Spartans, in kind, turn it right back over.
You're absolutely correct there. In their bout against Wofford, they eclipsed Wofford as far as their errors go, almost by double. And so those are those types of situations that could be controllable and put yourself in situations to win those games, and also to keep your runs and momentums going in your favor.
up the middle. The Spartans very solid as O'Grady working with Edwards up the middle to get the block. Is coming on to serve for USC Upstate is Caroline Cleveland. One of the things that we're going to see, John, I would imagine, I'd love your take on this, is this Panthers club is going to have a stronger, taller profile up the middle, which is going to make the advantage that Upstate enjoyed earlier today a little tougher to come by. This is a Georgia State club that could give the Spartans some problems up the middle, which is going to force the Spartans to kind of change up the game a little bit.
Yes, and that is actually one of the things that they do well is they recruit players that are blockers, middle blockers. Coach Hutchinson was a middle blocker himself when he played, and so you can definitely see them causing some issues in that middle and making Upstate have to go on the outside a little bit more. But with Upstate having a little bit of experience in that position, I think that they can use that and spread them out by going outside in, then back outside.
The former Buccaneer from Charlotte Country Day takes matters into her own hands there with the kill. So it stretches the lead back out to 5 at 12-7. Back here to the near side. Cleveland digs it out. They'll go up the middle, and O'Grady goes off the solo block attempt. And that's where O'Grady has options. And those options are going to force Terry Hutchinson to call a timeout. A 13-7 lead for the Spartans here in set number 1. We'll be back on ESPN+.
What happened? The next
for the Hodge Center, you look into the huddle there. The Upstate Spartans, they've got an early to 13-7 lead this afternoon against Georgia State. Earlier today, for those of you that weren't able to watch the match, the Spartans were able to win in straight sets. The final third set score was a 25-20 score, a winner for the Spartans. In that second set, Ashley Nicole really drove the narrative, John Williams, as the Spartans won the set 25-13. Nicole had 4 service aces in that second set to really pace the Spartans.
It definitely changed the standard of the momentum there for USC Upstate, where they were able to get themselves into a rhythm, and from that rhythm, they were able to just go from there and control the narrative of that match.
Going back to service, Caroline Cleveland, a 6-point advantage for the Spartans. Make that 7 as O'Grady took the tight pass and she hammered it home.
And O'Grady was one of the other players that we talked about that came in, really put in a great amount of work in the middle early in that first set against South Carolina State, but we didn't see her much in that second and third set. And so she's also one of those players that can put a ton of pressure on the middle.
O'Grady off the touch on the slide is able to stretch the lead to 8 points. This is one thing from the Spartans that we didn't see in the first set against South Carolina State. They had a little bit of a run late in the first set, but it was nothing as substantive as what we've seen here in this segment. Edwards to the outside is going to send it to the back row of the seating here on this side of the Hodge Center. And the Spartans are rolling in the first set.
You got to wonder if Coach made sure that they talked to the players beforehand, just saying like, hey, you just got done with a match against South Carolina State. Let's make sure that you come out with a lot of heat, with a lot of fire, and get the little tiredness off of you early so that you can respond the right way to start the match off, especially against a young Panthers team that is looking for any type of opening.
Janiah Jackson, part of that young freshman bunch, the Sacramento, California native, has 35 kills coming into this match. She showed off why she's so good on the outside with that swing.
Very athletic, huge swing on her, gets over the net with ease.
So go far side, the left-sided swing, and there it is. Edwards with the block One-on-one, when you have the opportunity, John, for Zalasia Edwards to go one-on-one outside and still feel good about what you're able to accomplish with the block, that's got to be a big-time win for Allie Scahan.
Yes, that is obviously one of the things that makes Edwards so special. She is not only an offensive special player, but she is also a bright spot on the defensive end where she can alter your attacks with her defense.
Nicole, boom. She gets the hammer down onto the floor, and the lead stretches to 10 to 18 to 8, and it's going to force another timeout. We're going to stay right here in the GB Hodge Center. John, I'm going to ask you to put your coach's hat on. I'm going to have you go inside that Upstate Spartans huddle right now. Given the fact that this is a club that is off to such a fast start, what is it if you're Allie Scahan, what are you asking of your club right now in this segment? Things are going well. How do they close out this first set the right way?
The foot does not go off the gas. All right, you got to continue to push the issue there. They are finding the bright spots and holes in the defense of Georgia State. Continue to be on that attack mode. The reason why they have been doing so well at the beginning of this match is because of how aggressive they have come out. They're starting to understand their identity and what works for them, and really it is just playing in that middle. Even against the size and stature of Georgia State, they are still finding ways to put impact there.
Well, you see that swing from Ashley Nicole there on the replay. Of course, that could very well be a Hercules Tires strong move of the game. But I do want to remind everybody, Hercules Tires is the official tire of the Big South Conference, and for over 65 years has been providing tires with unbeatable quality at an unmatched value. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, Hercules Tires invites you to ride on our strength. For a retailer near you, visit HerculesTires.com. Brian Rush and John Williams back here inside the GB Hodge Center. Things going swimmingly for the Spartans here in this first set. Zalasia Edwards back to serve for the Spartans. A 10-point advantage here in set number 1. It's a tight pass, and they're going to say there was a plain violation on the Spartans. Had that been the third touch, free ball. Second touch, it's got a breach. It didn't quite get there. The point goes to the Panthers. John, conversely, if I were to slide you into the Georgia State huddle a couple of moments ago, what are some of the things that you're saying if you're Terry Hutchinson?
Well, the things are, this is a very talented team, but the main thing is just to calm down and to quell the run. To control the things that you can control within your setting. And so there was a lot of things you could see. And with young teams are usually emotional. And so they go based on the flow. If they start hot, they end hot. If they start low, they end low. And so just making sure that you can start to find ways to face the adversity that you're not accustomed to because you're young.
And the service work of the Panthers starting to show some dividends. As Janiah Jackson, we talked about her 35 kills going into today's match. She also had 7 aces coming into today's match. So obviously she's starting well, and it's going to be another service piece of work for the Panthers as Jackson is going to get credit for another service winner for the Panthers.
She's definitely showing her ability to be as dynamic as a player as she's been advertised. Not only can she attack, not only can she play the ball the right way, she can serve the ball. And right now that jump serve is serving dividends.
Allie Scahan might want to consider a timeout, as that has been a pronounced run here for the Panthers off the serve of Janiah Jackson. They'll go to Nicole, and here comes Uncle Mo. Momentum firmly on the side of the Panthers, and it's going to force Scahan to take a timeout, which will stay right here. John, just like that, it was an 18-8 run when we put you in the Spartans huddle, and you were saying step on the gas. It's now, after 6 straight for the Panthers, a 4-point differential. I'll take you back in that huddle. What are the adjustments that you're making?
definitely, we talked about it before. This is also her just talking to her team about, I told you that. I told you what was about to happen, and sometimes you have to be able to repeat it. And like I said, you got to learn from those mistakes. And so right there, she said probably keep your foot on the gas and keep going. Now she's going to say, hey, all right, now you have to quell the run. All right, do whatever you got to do. Make adjustments that you need to make, but find the sweet spots in that defense and capitalize on it.
Usually when you're up 10 points, this point in the first set, you usually cruise to a win. There's virtually no way that a club can make a comeback when you're down 10. At this point, the Panthers have done a very good job of cutting deeply into that run. I would imagine from the Panthers' perspective, this momentum from the service line that's been built into the block could be enough to sustain them the rest of this set. We could see a monumental comeback in this first set, and if it does, could change the entire narrative of this match.
Absolutely, but it also just shows how dangerous Georgia State is. Even though they've got 9 new players on this roster, they are 9 talented players. Coach Hutchinson did a great job of recruiting and bringing in some superstars on this program.
Ashley Nicole hits the changeup over the block, is able to get the kill, and the run stops. The Spartans take the 5-point advantage as O'Grady is back to serve for Upstate. And an answer for the Panthers as they get the side out right back and can now go back to trying to cut into this lead even deeper.
Yes, the thing that Georgia State has to continue to do is keep the momentum that you just had from that run. Don't let that run just disappear just because Upstate found a way to get a stop or two.
Marin Palmer comes into the contest, a junior from Des Moines, Iowa, another transfer from UC Irvine. We'll get to some of her numbers in just a moment, perhaps, as the Panthers will have an opportunity here off the free ball. The swing taken, covered by Edwards. And a big swing there for the Panthers as Aaron Wyatt gets the kill and cuts the lead to 3 at 19-16. It is right now at this point an 8-1 run for the Panthers. And they get a chance to tack on here if they can capitalize. The swing is long. They had Izzy Durnell over on the far side. The left-hand swing was somewhat open. She just wasn't able to connect.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that makes this team, this Georgia State team, so special as well. With outside hitters being lefty, it makes it very, very difficult for you to lock in on it if you're a blocker.
Nicole frees it across. The Panthers can now go on the attack. And there's a swing that goes wide, and it's a point for the Spartans. As it looked like on the outside there, it was just a miss by Aaron Wyatt. Wyatt had the opportunity to bury the shot and just couldn't hit it cleanly. As that one was a little better from Durnell as she's able to take it straight down to the floor. The redshirt sophomore out of Dawsonville, Georgia, gets the kill. The transfer from Tennessee. It'll set up the side out for the Panthers.
So hard to lock in on Durnell with her ability with her strength of being a lefty on that outside, on that right side. It's just very tough to hone in if you are a middle blocker who has to think and figure out where the set is going to be, but also try to figure out where placement is.
Another change-up, and that's going to find its way to the paint on the near side. So it'll be a side out for the Spartans as Ashley Nicole goes back to serve for Upstate. A 22-17 advantage. A 6-point run for the Panthers has been concluded here. The Spartans trying to close out this first set. As that swing hits the tape, sails wide. The Spartans go back up by 6 with 2 points to get here in set number 1. The serve sails long. And effectively at this point for the Spartans, as long as you're able to get the side out quickly, you can get back to serving knowing that you've got a set point in hand.
Yeah, it looks like they may be out of the danger zone, but you always have to be careful, and we talked about it before, like that foot on the gas. You got to start hot, stay hot.
Well, one way to make sure that you don't give up another 6-point run is to go ahead and let Zalasia Edwards go one-on-one from the far side. She was able to get that swing down. It's now set point for the Spartans.
She's been impressive this set.
As the swing blocked and we play on. Kept alive a second time, but not a third. As the set comes to a close, the Spartans with a 25-18 win in set number 1. They've established themselves early. We'll see what happens in set number 2 as we come back on ESPN+.
There's over 4.
You can't feel comfortable, and so to continue that momentum.
He went double figures in the second, the first half. We welcome you back inside the GB Hodge Center for what is about to become set number 2 here in this matchup between the Georgia State Panthers of the Sun Belt Conference and your Upstate Spartans. Folks, for the best in Big South coverage, visit BigSouthSports.com. Stay current with the latest news, results, stats, standings, and so much more. Enjoy video features showcasing remarkable student athletes or connect to school sites or social media outlets, all from one place. Remember, the source for all your conference information is BigSouthSports.com. As you see the Upstate Spartans players on the floor, let's take a look at some of the first set highlights. As you see, Ashley Nicole had a big first set. She was able to establish some of that narrative in the second set against South Carolina State. She's continued that here in the first set. 6 kills in that first set. She went double figures in the earlier match. She certainly seems to be on her way to double figures in this one.
Yes, the Spartans are definitely going to need her to continue that momentum, to continue that positive play, and also being able to understand that Georgia State's going to make some adjustments to her. All right, and so she has to make sure that if push comes to shove, she serves as a decoy, because that can also lead to positive play for USC Upstate. But if you are Upstate, you can't feel comfortable after that first set, after seeing how quickly Georgia State was able to come back from a 10-point deficit.
A 6-0 run for the Panthers after that 10-point deficit really made it tighter, but the Spartans, on the heels of a .438 attack percentage, were able to get that first set win by a score of 25-18. The Panthers will begin with service in the second set. As the slide to O'Grady kept alive, and they can't do anything with it. The Spartans will get the side out, leading 1-0, as Addie O'Grady will go back to serve. The Spartans in set number 1 had just 1 service ace, but they had just 1 in the first set against South Carolina State. This was the moment, as you see the block there, making it 2-0 in favor of the Spartans. This was the moment in the match to where the Spartans established themselves against the Bulldogs. Will they do it in this matchup against the Panthers? We don't know right now, but it's a possibility for the Spartans club that if they do get going offensively through the service line, they're going to have themselves a tremendous advantage.
Yeah, and the second set is always based on adjustments. This is that time frame. Obviously, you've got some time to sit down and talk amongst yourselves, amongst what you saw, what weaknesses, what holes in the defense that you can capitalize on, and then see who executes it best going into that second set.
It's back to service Janiyah Jackson, and that serve sails long, and the Spartans get it right back, leading 3-1. Going back to serve will be Kayla Spangler. Coming into the match for the Spartans will be MJ Klauman. Spartans get it right back with a service error.
Checking back in, number 9.
Now going back to serve for Georgia State will be Amanda Albertini. Albertini had 37 kills coming into this afternoon's matchup. One of the club leaders on the attack side. And she'll get a service ace on top of that.
So Albertini's one of those dangerous players that you can definitely see can really get going in a hurry if you give her that window.
Panthers will take the swing, have it dug out by the Spartans. Nicole goes right down the middle, and she's going to get the kill. Nothing heavy, nothing really difficult to handle as far as the speed was concerned, but the location was premium as she put it right in the middle of the floor.
Very accurate with her placement and putting it in that sweet spot between the defense.
John, I want to share something here in just a second. You know, this is the start of the college football season. However, the crowd is really big this afternoon. This morning it was a good-sized crowd. It's even bigger in the second contest today as Georgia State earns the side out.
Yeah, we had our side here full, and the other side was, you know, it was okay. But now you got all the college kids starting to wake up a little bit, and now you're having a bigger student section on the other side.
That pass is going to be delivered over the net and out of play to where the Spartans will get the point. They lead 5-4. As going back to serve will be Julia Gladhill. Gladhill, the libero in the contest, she was able to earn an all-tournament honor last weekend. It's the block for Addie O'Grady, a solo block, stretches the lead to 2 at 6-4. Julia Gladhill last week, she was able to earn the all-tournament honor for the Eagle Classic, the Eagle Challenge at Morehead State University. She was one of 2 players that was honored. Of course, Ashley Nicole was the other one. That was her second such honor at a weekend tournament to start the year.
And Gladhill brings consistency, especially on that defensive back line. Really, it's difficult for teams to get those wins that they think they're going to get or attacks that they think they're going to get because of her. She keeps the ball off the floor on a consistent clip.
Plowman with the kill, and the lead is starting to stretch a little bit. Could this be the run the Spartans were hoping to get here in the opening moments of the second set? Edwards, that swing is going to be long. It'll be a point for the Panthers. Does it look like Edwards, in trying to turn the ball down, might have missed a little bit catching the bottom side of the ball, and that's why it took off on her.
Yes, and she's made that play several times in the earlier matches, and so it's not something that's foreign to her.
It's a service error on the Panthers, gives it right back to the Spartans. It's Caroline Cleveland will go back to serve for Upstate. Cleveland, the senior out of Delray Beach, Florida. And the Spartans, they're on the outside. O'Grady and Edwards showing that uber athleticism again, able to smother that one straight down to the floor. And the lead is up to 4 at 9-5.
They're doing a really good job of moving and understanding where the setter is placing the ball and then jumping in quickly to make sure that they can play the net.
O'Grady cross courts, and it ends up in the seats, and it's now a 10-5 lead. And that is going to force Terry Hutchinson to call a timeout. We're going to take the timeout with them. A 10-5 Spartans lead here in Spartanburg. We'll be back on ESPN+.
Alone. Your feet. Big size. Without antibiotics.
You see in your...
Our turkey already has its dream job. At Jersey Mike's, premium meat makes a sub above.
Back here in Spartanburg, you see in your shot Kayla Spangler. John, the reality is what we're starting to see in the second set is what we saw in the first match against South Carolina State. Georgia State, their setters, they're starting to maneuver around the floor, and they're not as consistent in where they're receiving the ball. Kayla Spangler is able to pretty much set up in pocket right there on the Upstate A, and she's able to deliver the ball pretty much wherever she likes.
And we talked about the setter being the quarterback of the offense, and you don't want your quarterback running all over the place and still trying to throw the ball. That leads to less accuracy. So with her being able to sit in that pocket and stay in an area where she can have her feet set, have balance, and put the ball exactly where it needs to be for her hitters to be successful, that leads to high percentage volleyball.
So we'll have a point for the Spartans as it's 4 contacts on Georgia State. And the momentum, you've talked about it, John, firmly on the shoulders of the Spartans at this point in the match.
These are great coachable moments for Coach Hutchinson here, who is trying to get this young team acclimated to having their back against the wall, and instead of sinking down, going out swinging.
And speaking of swinging, that swing sails just a tad long. On the outside there for Georgia State, that was Janiah Jackson. She tried to top the ball to the paint, but it was just a little long beyond that line, giving the Spartans what is now a 7-point advantage. Kept alive. Edwards might have gotten away with the lift. It was behind the official on that side, but Jackson responds with a big swing, and she ends the run for the Spartans. It'll be a side out for Georgia State. You know, we talk about the likes of Ashley Nicole and Zalasia Edwards, but on that other side, Janiah Jackson, incredibly athletic. As we see Addie O'Grady again get the kill.
Yeah, and what's terrifying is that she is a freshman. And so she's got, and a lot of this team, and Coach Hutchinson is depending upon a lot of young players. And so with that being said, you got to think how good this team can be if they stick together in the ensuing years.
It's another swing from Jackson. I have a feeling we'll be calling that name out a lot this afternoon for the rest of the way. Nicole has that one met at the net. Cleveland digs it out for the Spartans. Nicole again goes cross court and finds a seam.
You can't get Ashley Nicole 3 opportunities like that to try to find a way to get the ball on the floor there. She did, and simply because she read the defense. You know, a couple of times she got blocked. So then her team keeps it alive. She finds the sweet spot in the defense and makes sure she executes.
Service error from Edwards gives it right back to the Panthers. A 14-7 advantage. So we'll have substitutions coming on. Serving for Georgia State will be Lachlan Murray. Lachlan Murray, last season, or I should say this season, 107 assists for Murray, the junior setter out of Charleston, South Carolina. Nicole took a great swing. Can they get it over? They cannot. Point Spartans. And the one thing, John, about Ashley Nicole there, look, we're going to see more swings taken with greater number of RPMs.
Right.
But the positioning of that ball on the floor, relevant to the speed in which she was able to hit the ball, really did make the difference in her getting that kill.
It absolutely does, and that's the thing, too. It's not just about her placement. Is she can put the ball in the right place with a nice spin on it and great heat.
And there she goes again, taking it off the block this time. And the Spartans are opening up a 9-point advantage, leading 16-7 here in set number 2. The Panthers keep it alive. Can they angle it over? They do, and we play on. And there's Nicole. Yeah. Ashley Nicole is on quite a run, and I believe Terry Hutchinson is going to take a timeout. We're going to stay right here, John. The reality is, as we talked about this in set number 2, I feel like I'm repeating myself again. Ashley Nicole, she owned the second set for the Spartans against South Carolina State. We're going to look at this replay. Ashley Nicole is owning the second set for the Spartans. She stepped into this one and delivered beautifully.
She's been extremely aggressive and in attack mode at her position, and so she's just making sure that she capitalizes on the opportunity she's given, and you can see her setter is setting her up beautifully to put the ball exactly where it needs to be.
Well, she is certainly the star of the second set. Somebody needs to hand her a Starry. She needs some cool, crisp refreshment. As you can try Starry, the new caffeine-free soda that provides that crisp, clear burst of lemon lime flavor. Starry is available in both original and zero sugar varieties, so pick yours up today.
You think she'll get the real thing, or you think she'll get zero sugar?
You know, in this moment, she can probably afford the zero sugar version, but right now the fans, they're thirsty for the high-octane version, and that's exactly what they're getting out of Ashley Nicole this afternoon.
Absolutely, a lot of caffeine in that.
As the Spartans have the 17-7 advantage. Again, earlier in set number 1, they had an 18-8 advantage. And the Spartans were able, the Panthers were able to get it back and run 6 straight off. For the Spartans in this scenario, if they've got the 10-point advantage here, if they're able to put the seal on this second set, this could spell the end of the match. They could cruise the rest of the way.
Well, we got to see if they learn from the mistake of the first set, where they had that 10-point buffer and allowed Georgia State to get themselves in some momentum, and when they get momentum, they're extremely dangerous. So this is where you have to lock in even more to make sure that you take that away.
So the Panthers will try to go on the attack here, and the swing is long, and the point goes to the Spartans. Is coming in to serve for the Spartans just a moment ago was Alicia Arroyo, a freshman out of Isabela, Puerto Rico. As Arroyo back to serve for the Spartans, another part of this young crop of players that Ali Scahan has brought in for the Spartans team. Down the middle, the swing to the outside, taken by Nikki DeLotte. DeLotte had an impact in the first match this morning. She's trying to see if she can equal that here with some impactful moments for the Spartans.
She did, and when you have players like Edwards and Nicole and Cloudman and Glad, you got all those players going off like this, then all of a sudden DeLotte shows what she's capable of doing. It shows the depth offensively of this USC Upstate Spartan team.
Swing goes long. It's 20-7 in favor of the Spartans. And John, I've got to be honest with you. We mentioned this in the first match today. This is an Upstate Spartans club that, according to the pundits, is 6th in the Big South Conference, ahead of only Presbyterian and UNC Asheville. So the ball is going to be dug out. Cleveland went racing after, couldn't track it down. That ends the run for the Spartans as the side out will go to the Panthers. It'll be Janiyah Jackson serving for Georgia State.
And my only assumption of them being 6 is because of the coaching change. But with that being said, most of this team is intact and whole from last year, which was one of the top defenses in the conference last year. So now you're just seeing a team that was defensively minded with an offensively minded setting coach to take it up to another level. So I don't know if that 6th spot ranking is going to actually stand.
As Kennedy Locke will come in to the match for the Spartans, as well as Emma McElvin. She goes back to serve in a 21-8 second set score. Well, you know, John, I think you raise a great point. For a club that was able to mind their P's and Q's so well on the defensive end, if there is a true offensive element, a dynamic that's added with Ali Scahan being here as the coach, I think flat out the pundits are going to say that they were wrong about this one. They might have underestimated the potency of this Upstate Spartans club.
And that was the issue with Upstate last year. They could get the stops, but they couldn't contribute on those. And so now you have a coach that is a high IQ setter herself from back in the day, now giving that wisdom to her team on how to be efficient offensively.
And John, I would imagine the one thing about being a club that has some struggles offensively, as this club did last year, is going on significant runs just becomes fewer and farther between.
Exactly. So if you have, on the other end of that, if you have a highly touted offensive team, but all of a sudden that team goes on a run and you can't get stops, it usually works against your favor. So you already had a team that was instilled and had good defensive principles. Now adding on the IQ on offense, adding on a different formation in 5-1 with one setter, and that setter staying in that middle and getting people involved. And really, it's, you know, I would say heightening the gifts of what this team already had.
Indeed. Sally Scahan's going to go over and talk to the down official, trying to see what was seen by the officiating crew in that last exchange. So the Spartans do have the second set advantage, a set already in hand. They lead 22-11 in that stretch. Folks, find the best variety of officially licensed merchandise in conference and school branded items at BigSouthStore.com. Gear up with some new apparel or find that perfect gift. Get fully equipped for all your game day fun with BigSouthStore.com. The Spartans trying to get the ball back as they have the 11-point advantage. Nicole has it kept alive by the Panthers. A free ball. We'll see what they can do in system. Nicole takes it off the block. She gets the kill. And the Spartans get it back. Nicole goes back to serve. Nicole, I want to let the stats refresh. I know that she had 7 kills going into that swing. I believe that's going to be the 8th kill. That's my unofficial numbers. It's a club that's still hitting .405 as a team in almost 2 full sets of play. As Georgia State will get it right back. That was the 7th kill for Ashley Nicole.
She's having herself a good game thus far, and a lot of that is because she is finding, because the defense can't lock in on her. I mean, and a lot of that's because of her feet. She's got quick feet. She gathers before the defense gathers, and she can get up there above the net before they can. But then, when she does actually get a full head of steam and gather, she can get over you as well with her athletic ability.
It's the slide flicked just over the net. Georgia State's not able to negotiate the first ball as it becomes a set point for the Spartans. It's going back to serve will be Julia Gladhill. A 24-12 advantage for the Spartans as they look to close it out right here, right now. That swing is off the touch. So the Panthers will get another opportunity to serve. So it's Jordan Taula. Edwards off the block, out of bounds, and that's the set. John, the Upstate Spartans Club with a 2-set advantage, winning 25-13. Your thoughts before we go out for a quick break?
That's how you close a game out, or close a set out. I think that they learned from their first set. I'd say that first set head bump there, and they responded the right way. And Georgia State has to find a way to get out of that adversity and find a way to respond positively going into this third set.
We'll come back with some more conversation about the second set when we come back here on ESPN+.
Grow and start to figure each other.
And right on our strength and rushing along with John Williams.
U.S. The Upstate reach greater heights.
The Upstate Spartans enjoy a 2-set advantage here in the GB Hodge Center. Brian Rushing along with John Williams here with you this afternoon. So glad you could join us. This Big South broadcast is brought to you in part by Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength, visit HerculesTires.com. Sunbelt Rentals, we have equipment for that. First Citizens Bank, forever first, and Jersey Mike's, a sub above. John Williams, a club above is the Upstate Spartans. They were earlier this morning against South Carolina State. They enjoy a 2-set advantage against Georgia State.
Yeah, you're definitely seeing this team start to grow and start to figure each other out. We talked about the system has changed a little bit as far as the offensive prowess that you're seeing. And this is what Upstate wants to be able to do going into conference play. It can easily change how we talked about the match before, but now you're starting to see them find that offensive chemistry to tag on to the defensive chemistry that they already had together.
Oh, and you see some of the chemistry in this highlight package that we've set up as the Spartans have just been so incredibly good offensively today. This is a club, again, not necessarily doing what they did in the earlier match today. They still have just one service ace. But John, take a look at that offensive set there. This is a club, Ashley Nicole with 12 kills in the match. She's attacking at a .450 number. That's an extraordinarily high percentage for 2 sets against any opponent.
Yes, and we talked about it before, the chemistry between her and Spangler, who's been setting her for the majority of her plays. That is what you have to have. You have to have that ability to be in attack mode, but also to have the ball placed exactly where you need it to be so that you can be as efficient as you can be. And so right now, you're also seeing her team have her back and create great situations and circumstances for her to thrive.
Addie O'Grady with 6 kills as well for the Spartans, but Ashley Nicole has been the difference maker for the Spartans team with her 12 kills. And John, as you would typically expect for a Georgia State club that is as young as it is, you're going to have moments of heat. You're going to have moments of cold. This is a club right now that's attacking at a 0 clip. Much of that has been done because of the defensive work that the Spartans have done. And unfortunately, at times for Georgia State, it's just been them shooting themselves in the foot.
And that's the blessing of a good defense. It takes you out of your rhythm. And Georgia State is a team that has to have rhythm in order for them to have a chance to win. And right now, they are working off of nothing right now from scratch. And so it's hard for them to find that baseline, that pulse for them to get to where they're capable of getting to. They know how it feels, but right now, Upstate is clipsing that right now. And so going into this second half or into this last or third set, they're going to have to figure out, how do you want to respond to this? Like, you got punched in the face. Okay, do you want to respond by just laying down, or do you want to respond by swinging? And so I think Coach Hutchinson, he didn't even go in the back to sit down like Upstate did. They actually stood out on the floor, talked it out, and tried to understand what do they need to do to make sure that they are better. They're getting 1 step better, 1 percentage better, so that they can move forward into wherever their next match is going to be with positivity.
You see the Upstate Spartans over on the left side. They'll have Ashley Nicole on the floor to start set number 3 with Kayla Spangler and Addie O'Grady. Also, Caroline Cleveland will be on the floor, Julia Gladwell, and then they'll have serving. It'll be Zalasia Edwards. This is the 6 that have been doing a lot of the damage for the Spartans club throughout. This is a John Williams. This is a club that is 1 set away from going 4-1 on the season. An opportunity here for this club to pick up 4 wins through the first 2 weekends of their season, given the fact that they only won 6 all of last year.
Yeah, this team hasn't had a start like this in a very long time. And if they can continue to ride that wave, that momentum, and trust what the plan is, what Coach Skahan is trying to deliver here regarding culture, they're going to be in great shape because, like we talked about before, they already had the defense. Well, now it's adding that offense in.
To put into context what the Spartans club is 1 set away from doing all of last year, the 6 wins, 3 conference wins, 3 non-conference wins. This is a club that has the chance to expand on their non-conference mark in just 2 weekends of play, as the Georgia State Panthers get the service error, or the service ace, I should say, as they take the 2-0 lead. against the Spartans. And it's going to be another service error, or ace, I should say, as the Spartans are having some difficulty in the early going with their serve receive. A 3-0 lead quickly for the Panthers here in this third stanza.
And we talked about it before. When you had these breaks like this, this is where you start to talk amongst yourselves. Well, this didn't work in set 1. This didn't work in set 2. Maybe we can try to find a way to exploit this. And so you saw Coach Hutchinson, the team talking amongst themselves, trying to find that bright spot against the defense of Upstate and try to see if they can crack it a little bit.
O'Grady back to serve. That's going to be a double contact. Doesn't really matter to me how liberally you allow a setter to do a double contact when you're trying to set the ball. That one was about as obvious as you could find. That was a clear infraction there as the Spartans come back to within 1 point.
And it was right there in our face. We can see the palms.
As the Spartans keep that one alive, Nicole goes off the block, and she now has 14 kills in the contest, a 3-3 tie here in set number 3. She's attacking at a 480 clip.
Yes, I didn't think she was extremely aggressive from the attack mode and against South Carolina State. Maybe she was preserving the energy a little bit, but right now what you're seeing is special of how she has been in that downhill attack. And it feels like she's up on the hill every time she jumps off the floor.
Oh, there's no question. She's swinging with intent in this matchup. The serve sails long. We go back to even at 4-4. Kayla Spangler will go back to serve. MJ Plowman back on for the Spartans. It's the down official instructing Georgia State to back off the floor just a little bit. That swing smothered. Plowman went in the air with Nikki DeLotte, but it was Plowman that did the yeoman's work there, burying that ball back onto the Panthers side.
That's what Plowman brings to the table, being the middle blocker, but also that attacker from the middle.
Being able to use great technique with having incredible strength there was the difference maker for DeLotte, as she was able to get the block kill. 5-5 the score here in the third set. Nicole cross court with it. It goes out of bounds. And that's going to be kill number 15 in the match for Ashley Nicole. So there's something on the floor. I'm not exactly sure what it is. And I think further speculation as to what it could be, maybe just unproductive.
I'm going to go with gum, because nobody on Georgia State wanted to touch it.
Yeah, there was only one person that went after it, so I think we found the solution and the guilty party all in one.
Elijah Edwards is like, that's me.
My bad.
I got another stick of Trident over there on the bench.
Plowman dug out by the Panthers. To the outside, Edwards. This point starting to build. As the swing is sailed long. It's the Spartans with a 7-5 advantage. And this is a critical moment for the Panthers. They can ill afford to allow the Spartans to race out to a substantial lead like they've done in the first two sets.
And this is where you're trying to overcome that youth factor if you're Georgia State, because the younger you are, the more you're more likely to live in that moment of emotion longer than you need to.
Zalasia Edwards with the kill has made it 8-5 in favor of the Spartans. And I would imagine if this run continues beyond this point for the Spartans, Terry Hutchinson's going to have to think about calling a timeout. Doesn't want to, may have to.
Yeah, the last few times we've seen him call a timeout, it's been after a 10-point deficit because he wants his team to stew in it and try to understand how to combat against it. But
Ashley Nicole from the back row with the kill.
there it is.
No question. Terry Hutchinson takes the timeout. We're going to take the timeout with him. A 9-5 lead for the Spartans. We'll be right back on ESPN+.
This and hard where you show up. So what actually going to happen down that road?
Brian Rushing here with you.
Helping you reach your goals. That's forever first.
And we're back here in the Jimmy Hodge Center. John Williams, Brian Rushing here with you. So glad that you could be with us. If you're a Spartans fan, you're certainly enjoying what you're seeing because the Spartans, led by Ashley Nicole, are really getting some work done here this afternoon against the Georgia State Panthers. They enjoy a 2-set advantage and a 9-5 lead here in the third set. Make that a 10-5 lead as the Spartans are starting to hit the engine a little bit and maybe speed away with this third set and make it a sweep against the Panthers, John.
Yeah, and you're seeing right now Ashley Nicole making it very, very difficult for them, for Georgia State, to get into any type of efficient offense with their serve.
Panthers trying to go with a slide. The crease is found on the swing taken by Aaliyah Mitchell, the freshman out of Monroe, North Carolina. The former product of Sun Valley High School in Monroe, North Carolina. Just on that stretch of 74 going from Charlotte as if you're heading toward Rockingham.
I've seen it. I've just never taken the exit.
So that's going to be a service ace for the Panthers. Sun Valley literally just a couple blocks from 74 heading into Monroe, North Carolina. The Spartans, ironically enough, is what they're called.
Look at that.
Edwards with the kill. Takes a big swing off the block. Continues the run for the Spartans as they lead 11-7. Julia Gladwell back to serve, or Gladhill back to serve.
Energy. I just, the more and more I watch her play, the more and more I enjoy just the energy, the attitude. She brings some things that I think add an X factor to this Upstate team.
The Panthers have been pretty much scrambling from the start in this point. They're going to try to see if they can recover with a swing. As that swing is going to be touched out of bounds, the Spartans stretch out their lead to 12-7. If the Spartans play these next 4 or 5 points with any level of acumen whatsoever, they could pretty much race away in this contest.
Absolutely. This is called the danger zone for Georgia State. Have to make sure that they stay locked in and try to make something happen. Sense of urgency has to be at an all-time high.
O'Grady, bang. Again, Spangler, her movement is so efficient because she's not having to traverse the entirety of the floor. They're finding her in systems she's able to deliver with deliberation, and so therefore it leaves Addie O'Grady almost unmarked.
She's just doing her job, too. You know, she doesn't have to do too much where she's having to play and wear a whole lot of hats. And so you can definitely see just the importance of the simplification of it all.
It really is. I mean, they are playing with clinical efficiency at this point in this match. It's going to be MJ Clowman with the kill, and they've doubled up the Panthers 14-7 here. The slide. The kill for the Panthers is making the swing there was Caleb Broom, the junior out of Anniston, Alabama, by way of Jacksonville High School. O'Grady down the middle. She made a fantastic mid-air adjustment there. She was able to turn her shoulders as she went airborne, and that helped her clear her hips and get the swing onto the floor against the Panthers, who had already set up to the high side of her swing.
And let's also talk about Spangler putting the ball exactly where she wants. She's a player that has to have the ball, I feel, in the right place for her to be efficient, and Spangler did a great job of setting her up.
And O'Grady is back at it again with the block there up the middle. John, I got to be honest with you. This Spartans club has a lot of options as the timeout is taken on the floor. We're going to stay right here. The Spartans up 16-8 in this matchup right now, as they're beginning to see the finish line in this what could be a doubleheader sweep today of South Carolina State and Georgia State. John, as this club starts to make its way toward conference play and they're able to maintain this level of acumen on the offensive end, it's going to have to be a real headache for coaches to start in the Big South Conference to see, okay, are we going to game plan toward O'Grady? Are we game planning toward Edwards? Are we going to game plan toward Nicole? Because they do things and they do different things. It's a very diverse offense with a lot of options. As we're going to go ahead and go to the Hercules Tire strong move of the game, as I believe that's going to be Ashley Nicole, but from what we've seen in this third set, it could be anybody.
Yeah, that was my assumption, that it was Ashley Nicole there, who has just been blitzing from the attack mode.
She has been fantastic in this contest, but then again, that diversity offensively is really showing itself here in this third set.
It makes it very difficult to hone in on the many offensive weapons that this team has. And obviously, we already know what they can do on the defensive end. But you talked about a handful of players with Nicole. You talked about Edwards. You talked about O'Grady, right? But then you also have the dark horses like MJ Cloudman. You also have DeLotte. You have some players there that can also manufacture some offense when the defense thinks that they have a lock-in on just one or two players.
The Spartans scrambling, trying to keep the ball alive, can't do so. As the point goes to the Panthers, they'll get the side out as they have the 16-9 advantage. It's going back to serve will be Lachlan Murray. In this contest, Ashley Nicole with 16 kills, Addie O'Grady with 8, Zalasia Edwards with 7. And the Spartans at the net cleaning up the spill there as they lead by 8 again, 17-9, and Edwards will go back to serve.
It is just really hard to lock in on one player, and you have to have that in your sets, I mean, in your teams. Like, not just one, because if you can be easily played by just one person, great serve.
Able to get the bladder to tumble over just one more time and get it to fall to the floor on the floor. An 18-9 lead for the Spartans.
And that's what we've talked about, that serve that she has. That sometimes she's went over the line a few times, but there's times where it is dropped right where she wanted it to.
It's the swing for Janiah Jackson. Finds the floor off of a couple of deflections. She'll go back to serve, down 8 to the Spartans. Jackson with the swing, covered by the Spartans. The joust. Still in play. The slide to O'Grady. O'Grady finds the corner. You know, the beautiful thing about taking that slide to the opposite corner, John, is you can just flat out hit it deeper with more distance and keep it in play. And she utilized every inch there.
Yeah, hit that back corner with efficiency, and that's what makes O'Grady special, too. She is a 1.5 as well as 2-foot jumper, which makes that slide so it's impressive. She can gather off a 2 and get the height she needs, but then also on that swing where she can gather off a 1 and make it really, really tough for the defense, those blockers, to figure out how to guard her.
Arroyo in to serve for the Spartans. Nicole dropping hammers, dug out by the Panthers. That push is going to find its way out of play. As the pass to DeLotte there might have been a little bit behind her shoulder, which is why she had to thrust it out as well as up, and that's what caused it to go long. Arroyo out, back into the match is going to be O'Grady, as we'll have another substitution for Georgia State. That will be Marin Palmer. Marin Palmer last year had 304 assists for this Panthers club and 27 service aces. She certainly is astute on the service line. Ashley Nicole gets the kill, and the Spartans get ever closer to closing this one out in 3 sets.
And it has been really difficult for Georgia State to lock in on Ashley Nicole's timing. Her feet are so quick, it's hard for them to gather, and by the time they do gather, she's already up in the air.
17 kills in this contest. Nicole, through 3 matches last weekend, had 29 kills. I think she's equaled that number, if not eclipsed it, today alone. The swing blocked into the net. It's 22-11 as the Spartans have doubled up. I should say 21-11 as the Spartans have the 10-point advantage. Checking into the match for the Spartans will be Alana Clennon-Smith, a sophomore out of Waterloo, Ontario. Sturnell takes the swing from the right side.
Checking in, number 7, Anna Sweeney, now serving, also checking in, number 6.
Sturnell has got a powerful left.
The redshirt sophomore, transfer from Tennessee, got the kill there. The slide to Clennon-Smith. Clennon-Smith with the kill. Makes it 22-12. As Ashley Nicole will go back to serve for the Spartans. You know, John, one of the things that I hope happens for both of these young coaches is that they'll continue to make this a rivalry against each other. Georgia State just down the road in Atlanta. This is not an incredibly long trip, and I think it's a matchup that in due course, is the block there for the Panthers, in due course could be a pretty solid rivalry with a team in the Upstate, a team in Georgia. Could be a real barometer game as it relates to their non-conference schedule.
Absolutely, and you want to schedule teams that are going to make you better going into your conference play. And I think that this Georgia State team, as they continue to mature, as they get better, they're going to be really good in the upcoming years. And this Upstate team, as Coach Skahan continues to build her rosters, she's going to continue to have efficient teams. And so I think it's just people helping people that can lead to, you know, good play for both teams going into the conference.
So we stay alive with the point. The push for the Panthers down the line connects to the floor. So the kill is going to be gathered in by Aaron Wyatt. 22-14 the score. Jordan Talua back to serve for the Panthers. Right down the middle, you've got Caleb Broom, who goes off the deflection, and it's now 22-15. Now, John, in this situation here, things seem secure for the Spartans, but obviously, if you're Ali Skahan, you want this club to end this match with an exclamation point.
Yeah, you want to put that nail on the coffin and just get it done, and the only way you can do that is by just executing, staying locked in, quelling the runs. That's going to be what Upstate has to do. You do not want to give, and we talked about how dangerous Georgia State is, and Upstate has done a really good job of just taking them out of those sweet spots.
Tal Lewis serving again. Edwards off the block, and Skahan may have to start thinking about a timeout right now. And that's exactly what we're going to see. We're going to keep it right here. It's 22-17 the score. Of course, Georgia State came into this contest 3-2 on the season. They played 2 matches yesterday. They split over at Wofford, to where they swept Elon 3-0. That was a matchup against the Colonial Athletic Association Phoenix, and then they lost 3 straight to Wofford. It's the first time that they were swept this year. They lost a game last Saturday against Chattanooga. That was a game that went the distance. It was a 5-setter, a very competitive matchup there in their home arena, losing that matchup 15-8. After this matchup, they're going to see Chattanooga again, this time in Richmond, Kentucky. Then they'll face off against Eastern Kentucky and Murray State. That's going to be next weekend. So a lot of these tournaments are going to take place. I know that Eastern Kentucky club in a couple weekends, they're going to be coming to Rock Hill to take on the Winthrop Eagles and the University of South Carolina Gamecocks. That should be a very interesting matchup, as Eastern Kentucky, I'll get a chance to see them, as I'll be in Rock Hill in 2 weekends covering that matchup for the Winthrop Eagles. It's the Spartans trying to keep it alive, and they won't be able to do anything with it. As now it's starting to get tight again. This seems to be a carbon copy of what we saw in set number 1.
Yeah.
A little deeper into this set, if the Spartans can get the serve back, they'll almost be at the doorstep. Nicole, that swing is long, and now we're to a 3-point contest. And just like that, Kayla Spangler's going to come back into the contest for the Spartans.
Yeah, and that's something that Coach Skahan can talk about moving into after this match is done, is when she makes substitutions for the younger group, understanding that, hey, there can't be any drop-off in personnel. And so those are situations that you learn, and she's trying out some new positions and some new players. The drop-off and the integrity of the game has to stay the same.
The Spartans will now go to the near side, flipped across. That pass a little tight, and they can do nothing with it. The Panthers had an opportunity to cut into the lead even more, but the pass was a little too heavy into the net. Gives the Spartans back the side out as Gladhill goes back to serve, 23-19. The slide smothered by Nicole. One final opportunity, not going to be able to make its way over, as it's now match point for the Spartans. I don't know if Ashley Nicole dug that one or whether it dug her, but she was able to help get it over, and we now get to match point.
I felt like in her mind, she was like, I deserve that after what I've been doing this entire match. So, you know, it's only right.
The crowd on their feet here for this final point, or what they hope to be a final point, as the swing goes into the net. It'll be a side out for the Panthers.
Number 2. Match point.
Libby Kolakowski back to serve for the Panthers. O'Grady tried to push it to the corner, kept alive by the Panthers. A great dig from Gladhill. O'Grady finds the floor, and that'll do it. It's a pair of sweeps for the Upstate Spartans as they win the final, the same 25-20 score as they did this morning against South Carolina State. They take down Georgia State. They pick up their 4th non-conference win of the season, which is already more than they had all of last year. John Williams, love to get some of your thoughts.
Well, I felt that Upstate was in control majority of that third set. A couple of substitutions changed the chemistry there. Chemistry has to stay the same because if somebody does go down or if something happens, God forbid, you want to have that next player up mentality. And so with Upstate, you're seeing a lot of great opportunities for them to continue to grow and go into Big South play, I think, with a high note. And so with Georgia State, I think that they did a great job of trying to quell some runs, but have a lot to learn, have a lot to continue to work on with their chemistry, but we can't deny that they are a talented, very athletic bunch that once they get it together, they're going to be scary in the Sun Belt.
Well, they're going to continue to be tested as they'll take on Furman on the road Tuesday. That's a 7 o'clock matchup. And then they're going to face off against Appalachian State in the Black and Gold Classic. That's going to be App State of the Sun Belt Conference, UNCG of the SoCon, and North Carolina A&T of the Colonial Athletic. As it's a sweep for the Spartans, 25-18, 25-13, and 25-20 here inside the GB Hodge Center. Folks, we thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon. For John Williams, Brooks Ledger, and his crew, this is Brian Rushing thanking you so much for tuning in this afternoon to ESPN Plus. We'll see each and every one of you next time.